And here we are at the DefSec 2022 podcast presented by Cisco. And well, it's day two, it's Workforce Development Day. The shop floor, or the trade show floor, is a buzz with activity. A lot of good business going on, a lot of great conversations going on. And speaking of conversations, this year the podcast is indeed presented by Cisco, and we're out front in the booth, but this is not our first time here, Jerry. We were here last year, but last year we were in the booth of Genoa Design. Genoa Design, I want everybody to know, we're the thought leaders in bringing the podcast to DefSec. And I want to tell you, it was so fun last year. So many conversations were held that it's grown this year right in, and we're providing a service to the entire group. And this all goes out to Genoa. Yeah. Great forward vision. So it gives us great pleasure to welcome you to the show, Paul. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks guys for having me on. My name is Paul Preston. I'm the Chief Marketing and Innovation Officer with Genoa Design, headquartered in St. John's and Mount Pearl, next to St. John's, Newfoundland. Offices across the country, people in Halifax, Vancouver, and we have people in New Orleans. So I've only been about 8 months with Genoa, and in this industry, I came out of the tech sector, and we have a lot of opportunities within Genoa to take digital solutions and services, technology offerings to the shipbuilding industry, and that's really what I'm focused on.
You know, Paul, Genoa is a fantastic, innovative, fun company. Everybody that works there loves it. What was your path to get there? And you're lucky to be there, and I'm sure they're lucky to have you, but what was your path to get there?
Yeah, I was fortunate that I was CEO with TechNL, the Technology Association representing the province's tech companies. The founder of Genoa was on my board when I was first hired as CEO, Leonard Pecor, and we had a lot of engagement as well with Gina Pecor and others from within Genoa. So Gina is the current CEO. So just through work with TechNL and with our companies in Newfoundland and Labrador, there was a lot of interaction. So I knew the company, I knew the great success story that they were, and how increasingly they were using technologies to really change how we do shipbuilding in this country and ultimately in other countries. So that was more than appealing to me. The ability to take new services, new offerings to this market and change the way things are done, that was exciting, and that is really what attracted me.
Well, Paul, before I dive deep down into Genoa, I want to stay up above it a little bit and talk about technology in Newfoundland. There is a lot of cool things happening in Newfoundland right now in the technology sector. Kraken, Genoa,
Avalon Holographics.
Avalon Holographics. It goes on and on and on. What's going on over there? What's in the water?
Yeah, it's been 2 or 3 decades now of support for the innovation ecosystem, things like the Genesis Center, which incubates small companies. Memorial University has a Center for Entrepreneurship, which really helped to spur a lot of new thinking. We've also been much more open to immigration in the province. And let's face it, right, Newfoundland and Labrador, by its nature, it's a harsh place to live. When you think about weather, the climate, we've always been a very robust and hardy people by nature, and always had a lot of ingenuity in the people that live there. So that culture of creativity, the deep arts culture we have there, that ability just to solve problems as they occur, because you never know what's going to happen when you create a life on the sea. That sort of environment, that creativity, that ingenuity, that coupled with supports for technology companies, I think really allowed us to pour some lighter fluid. So there's a lot of latent potential, and we're seeing really 2 or 3 decades of support come to fruition now.
Well, it sounds like a perfect recipe. Everything that you just described is so perfectly put together, because you're right, that collaboration of government, industry, and academia all working together for a common goal. And I would, and the people, of course, and the culture, right? There's creativity in their blood, in our blood, in that part of the world, and it allows good things to happen. So it's really impressive to watch. So now, Genoa brings something a little different to shipbuilding than everybody else, aside from their fantastic team who are completely engaged. But talk to us a little bit about how Genoa does things differently.
Yeah, I mean, back in 1995 when the company started, it was a vision to really build ships using the internet, using technology. So how can we de-risk the shipbuilding process through creating 3D models, using CAD software and tools to create the ship first in an electronic sense, and then deliver those models to the shipyard to build the vessel. you de-risk a whole bunch of mistakes and problems that can happen. So from its inception, Genoa thought differently about how we can build ships. And importantly, even back in the mid to late 90s and early 2000s, we were using the potential of the internet to deliver those designs to clients in the US and in Canada. So from our earliest inception, right, it's about tech enabling how we do what we do. And that legacy has continued to today. So increasingly, we look for ways of designing 3D models, designing ships using the very best in technology, streamlining the processes and how we do what we do. But now we recognize that the value, and we think about the shipbuilding industry from design to building a vessel, putting it in the water, and then the life of a vessel being 30 or 40 years or more. The real asset is a digital ship. The value of that data for the life of the vessel, for all the maintenance, refit, repair operations, more and more we see the value of the digital ship. So we're exploring those digital solutions.
It's amazing, Paul, as you're talking, I'm thinking about Len, back then in 1995, I was heavily involved in computers and as well.
Yeah.
The processing power to do what he had in his head was not really there. So it's amazing to see that he did that back in 1995. Crazy.
Yeah,
really.
incredible when you think.
Yeah.
There's a great clip you can get of Peter Mansbridge where he talks about, he calls it internet. 1993 was Canada's first broadcast about internet, right? And within 2 or 3 years, you had our founder looking at how can we build ships, how can we do things using the power of technology in different ways, right?
Right.
And and so leveraging that, I think, is baked into our blood.
So I want to stay on that digital twinning for a second there. So you digitally create the ship, run it alongside the ship as it's being built. You're making iterations in reality and on the digital twin, but then you're keeping that digital twin alive during the whole life cycle of the ship. So if you inject a new fuel pump or a new system, you can see how that's going to affect the actual ship. Is that correct?
That's where we're working toward. Yeah,
right. Wow.
There's a lot of work to be done, a lot of jobs to be done.
Yeah.
There's tended to be a construction bias, is what we call it, in the industry, where you create great digital models and 3D models, but once the ship goes in the water, what's the value? What's the utility of that model over time?
Right.
So increasingly we're seeing tools, product lifecycle management tools, and a whole bunch of other technologies that are able to take 3D scan images of a vessel, 3D models, parts information, procurement information, and link all that together in powerful ways. With the advent of digital ship or digital twinning, you can then start to really get real-time data through sensors and the like about how a vessel is operating.
Right.
And you're really, in a dashboard in the control center, you can plan refit, plan maintenance, and see problems before they occur. So that is exactly where we're going.
Because, I mean, the life of a ship and keeping a ship, in particularly naval vessels, is all about preventative maintenance. You want to know well ahead of time what's going to go wrong. You're always trying to keep ahead of the game because you never want this stuff to break down when you really need it. So the digital twin is almost a necessity moving forward.
Absolutely. You think about the aerospace sector. We're at a defense conference here that includes aerospace and the sensors on GE or Rolls-Royce engines and how that automatically gets sent and they're monitoring conditions. That's where we want to get with our vessels. That's where we want to get with our Coast Guard, our Navy fleets, commercial vessels, and it's going to happen quick. We're getting there fast. Shipbuilding industry is going through a transformation.
Right.
And we're a part of that, and we are looking for ways of helping our customers and our clients really embrace technology. Yeah.
Right. Now, all of this doesn't happen without people making it all work, and I know that Genoa is very proud of their people. Their culture is incredible there. I often tell the story, Jerry and I have got a good friend, he's never happy. He went to work at Genoa, happiest guy I've ever seen him. I don't know what happened, but we're not going to mention his name.
Free lunch. We do a lot of free lunches.
He'll know who he is.
Hopefully he's not going to watch this.
He'll know who he is. But at the end of the day, there's a real good culture there. And here we are, day 2 of DevSec, and it's all about workforce development and that. Tell me, what is it that Genoa is doing to celebrate their staff and thereby making their company so successful?
Yeah, again, from the earliest stages, we were a people company. It's reflected in our core values. One of our values is put people first. So for us, it's about making sure we take care of our people. They're our greatest asset. We can talk about technology all day, but it's people who create, who use, and who embrace that technology to do things. So for us, it's been baked into our vision, our core values, and our strategies, even our innovation strategy, which is about unlocking the value of the digital ship. It's all about the people. That the people as part of that process to help us figure out the jobs to be done. And so we've done various things to really ensure that we're taking care of our people. Whether that's our workplace vision today, coming out of the pandemic, is to support work at home and hybrid environments. It's to look differently at our office space and how do we set it up so that it encourages collaboration, and encourages people to be comfortable and to work how and where and when they're most comfortable. So all of those progressive practices, I think, make a compelling story for the people we bring. And I jokingly talk about free lunches. We do that. We have a barbecue, we have a kitchen, teams bring in lunch, we celebrate that. Very, very simple yet effective things. Right. And when you do it from an authentic, values-based perspective, when you authentically care about people, that makes all the difference. And like any company, it's not a panacea. We have days that are difficult. There's days that work is difficult and challenging. Right. But at the heart of it, people, there's a heartbeat. There's a heart to the place.
Well, I just want to add there, Alan, you and I had the good fortune last year of being hired by Genoa to come to DevSec. In preparation, Paul, for that, prior to your arrival there, we had meetings, and it was palpable. The culture was palpable. The mission, the vision was all written on the walls. But it wasn't just written on the walls, you could feel it. But you know what, I want to say this. I could tell there was a mutual respect between Len and Gina, a married couple, but there's a mutual respect there, and it just permeates down through the company. And I want to say thank you to them for bringing us up here last year. And as we are a startup, Gale Force Winds is a startup, they were very instrumental in helping us 100%. Move forward. So that was really important for us to say that today.
Oh, Gale Force Winds, I don't think would exist without Genoa's involvement. So Genoa has been a big part of our journey as well. So I want to, this is second DevSec in person now, back here. Your first one, I guess, with Genoa.
It is.
Right? How was the show for you?
It's been fantastic.
Yeah.
I did CanSec for the first time in June. I've done Sea Air Space in Washington D.C., which is massive. The one thing here, Halifax is a great city, number one.
Yeah.
And I feel here there's much more opportunity for serendipity. I bump into you guys, we have a great chat, and here I am on the show the next day.
Yeah.
The camaraderie here, the energy, the let's go out and have a beer at the bar after. There's a lot more room for that. Serendipity, those moments seem to happen really easily here. Energy here is palpable. The engagement among the vendors, those in the booth spaces, the supply community, the speakers, there's just an energy here. There's a level of optimism. We have challenges in the industry. Workforce development is one of the biggest ones we face. But there's a sense here that in this industry and in this region, Atlantic Canada, we can do it. We can make change happen. We're a small, nimble place. 2 million people in Atlantic Canada. We can be quick and nimble. So let's just get to it and get the job done. That feeling is really has permeated the walls of this event the last 2 days.
I think you hit the nail right on the head as it relates to DevSec. There's something special about this trade show. There's work being done in there. There's deals being made in there. But the atmosphere is very jovial and friendly, and you just want to be here, don't you? Like, I don't know about you, but I can't wait to come into DevSec on the second day because you want to have more conversations with the people you just met. Now, you guys, of course, are a big member of ACADA. Genoa is a big part of ACADA. Tell me about your relationship with ACADA and how important that is.
Yeah, critical for us. I had, even prior to joining Genoa, I had interaction and done some work with ACADA. Leonard Pecor, our founder, who's not active in the business anymore, on our board. He's also on the board of ACADA and gives back a lot.
Right.
And is a big believer in ACADA. So he ensures that people like me, that we're supporting ACADA in the way we can. We've sponsored events with them. We'll continue to do that. I would also say things like workforce development, and ACADA is looking at helping to lead a strategy around workforce development. We're there to help and support the team in ways that we can. So it for us is an integral relationship. They can be that voice that can amplify the individual messages of all their members, including ours. They can be that voice that can amplify that message to represent the industry. They gave some great stats yesterday. 18% of Canada's revenue generated from defense, 18% of it is Atlantic Canada. And if you think about a population base, we're only a small population base for Canada. On a per capita basis, we should only represent 6% of Canadian defense. We represent 18%.
Yeah.
So 3 times, we're punching above our weight 3x.
Yeah.
That's awesome, and I think we need to spread that word about the robust nature of the sector and about the great jobs. It's tech-enabled. It is not just, it's not your grandfather's industry. There's a lot changing here. There's a lot of work to be done, yes, but there's just tremendous things happening right here.
Well, I can tell you right now that there's a lot of exciting things happening in Atlantic Canada, in the shipbuilding industry. Genoa is front and center in all of it and taking it to a new level, a different style of conversation with digital twinning and looking at shipbuilding in a different fashion. I know that you're very, very well respected in this room and within all the shipyards. I can tell you, if you're a young person looking for a career, or indeed if you're in transition and looking for a second career or another career, Genoa is the place to be. They are a top-notch company doing top-notch things. Thank you very much, Paul. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it. Have a good show.